Thank you so much. Let me take you to Kaduna first and foremost, everyone. The ad hoc committee set up by the Kaduna State House of Assembly to investigate all finances, loans, and contracts awarded under the former Governor Nasir El-Rufai has submitted his report to the House. And today they presented the report during plenary. The chairman of the ad hoc committee, Honorable Henry Zakaria, said that most of the loans obtained under the El-Rufai's administration were not used for the purpose for which they were obtained, while in some cases due process was not followed in securing the loans. And the reports were being received by the Speaker of Kaduna State House of Assembly, Honorable Yusuf Liman. He says that a total of 423 billion naira was siphoned by the El-Rufai's administration. That's half a trillion, isn't it? Almost half a trillion, 423 billion. That's less than 100 billion less of half of a trillion, yeah. They say that the government of El-Rufai left huge liabilities for the present government, and the committee therefore recommended investigation and prosecution of former Governor El-Rufai, some other indicted members of his cabinet by security and anti-corruption agencies for abuse of office through the award of contracts without due process, diversion of public funds and money laundering, as well as plaguing Kaduna State or plunging it into heavy debt. Take a listen to the presentation of that report.
The governor of Kaduna State, between 29 May 2015 to 29 May 2023, as the Chief Executive Officer of the state, breached his oath of office contained in the 7th schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and failed to exercise due diligence in the administration of the state, thereby indulged in plunging the state into unwarranted, unjustified, and fraudulent domestic and foreign debts over and above the total loans obtained by Kaduna State since 1965 to 1999, and majority of which were obtained without due process, Number two, reckless awards of contracts without due process and due execution, leading to several abandoned projects despite payments. Authorized humongous withdrawals of cash both in naira and dollars without records of utilization, and denied the state of the needed resources for development.
That's Honorable Liman, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the man who led the ad hoc committee, who came about all of these reports. And part of the report states that a serving Commissioner of Finance under the Senator Ubasani government, who occupied the same position in the Governor El-Rufai, should be suspended. And so let's speak with the chairman of that ad hoc committee, Honorable Zakaria, who joins us virtually live from Kaduna. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Sean.
I imagine that good evening. Good evening. I imagine that you are a returning member of the House, isn't it?
No, I'm a first-timer.
You're a first-timer. So some of the figures that you found out are strange to you. The reason why I'm asking that first question is that 423 billion naira looks like, the way it was described in your report, money spent without appropriation. And I imagine that a money spent without appropriation is illegal and is criminal. Is that what happened?
Mr. Shaw, well, let me start by making a little clarification. My name is Henry Mara. I'm the spokesman of the House. The chairman of the committee is Henry Danjuma, who is the deputy speaker. He is the chairman of that committee.
All right. So
I am the spokesman of the House.
There's a commission of Henry. So there are Henrys in this case. So
yes.
So Henry Mara. Absolutely. Apologies for that mix-up.
Henry Mara.
Oh, fantastic. So, Honorable Mara, so if you can go ahead and tell us
now.
Is it that these monies that you were talking, as presented by the chair of the ad hoc committee, were spent without appropriation?
As a matter of fact, the 423 billion were monies taken directly from the purse of the government without any activity attached to it. That is why you will see in the report, we said that the money was siphoned. The Commissioner of Finance and the Accountant General withdrew 30 billion naira from the account of the State Internal General Revenue. They withdrew 1.4 trillion from the state government USD account. These monies were taken without any activity attached to it. So that 423 billion naira is the cash they took. And you cannot tie it down to any project. So that is one discovery on its own. Then we'll now come back to mismanagement of the funds in terms of project implementation. It's another case on its own.
All right, so let's get straight. So it's interesting what we're hearing, because one we wonder that in all of what happened in the 8 years of Governor El-Rufai, there are those who are serving presently in the government or in the cabinet of Governor Ubasani. Did they appear before the committee when this investigation started?
Everybody that was invited appeared, except for Mrs. Dolapo, the woman that headed the Kaduna Power Company. She's the only one at the moment we cannot trace her whereabouts, but every other person appeared and testified before the committee, sir.
So were they able to explain? Because when you say if there's a sitting commissioner for finance who also who served as a commissioner of finance under Governor El-Rufai, was he able to explain? Because he was the one who literally helped with the, of course, with the assistance of the attorney, the accountant general of the state. These are the statutory persons who are saddled with the responsibility of dispensing and disbursing funds on behalf of the state. Were they able to explain how these funds were being disbursed, what they were meant for, and where they went to?
Well, to start with, before we invited them, we recruited the services of professionals. We had audited reports. We have chartered accountants. We have lawyers. We have chartered project managers that were invited and brought upon to help us look at the documents. As a matter of fact, of course, they will try to defend themselves, but the records are very, very clear. For instance, there was a company they paid 82 million naira for. They paid the company 82 million naira and then they tagged it interest. Of course, that company is not a government agency. So what interest are they paying the company? So there are explanations they cannot give you. That is why we are now saying in our recommendation that the Commissioner of Finance should step aside from the office to allow for proper and further investigation into her activities during her time in office. Because, of course, you cannot be a judge over your own case. She cannot be in the office while she's being probed. So she should step aside so that we'll be able to manage the process better based on the recommendations we gave in the document we submitted earlier today.
Did the House or the committee invite Governor El-Rufai?
Well, we invited people whose signatures are on documents, contracts, those who are direct dealing with our funds. Eventually, most of them will tell you they acted based on instruction from the state governor and all that. So we have made our recommendations and we have forwarded it to the executives and all other relevant agencies for further actions. At that point, it is expected that they take it up from where we stop and probably conduct further investigation from where we stopped, actually.
Are you aware that Governor El-Rufai has since replied to some of some of the things that are being said, or the report that is circulating? But you imagine that for the sake of fairness, you probably would have reached out to Governor El-Rufai, because if all these monies and these allegations are against his government, against his administration, and they went on under his, when he was in the saddle, was the House able to get any major reply directly from Governor El-Rufai?
None that I'm aware of. But every other person that worked under him that has anything to do with these funds were all invited and they appeared. As a matter of fact, we expect the EFCC, the ICPC, with which some of these documents have been sent to them, to be able to take it up from there. We have done the nitty-gritty. We have not, as a matter of fact, we've not invited him. But every other person that has a signature appended on any contractual documents, any withdrawals, and anything has already been invited. And then we have a 200-page document on the summary of our findings, and then we have the executive summary too that have all been forwarded for further actions.
But, I mean, the principle of fair hearing, if you are indicting someone and you are not able to get his own response, is that fair?
He will be given an opportunity to explain himself.
Where?
Because this is not the end. And he will be called upon. He will be given an opportunity to explain himself.
But you have already released your report, and you have already alleged that Governor El-Rufai has allegedly been involved in money laundering and abuse of office.
We said his government.
Under his watch. His face is everywhere. That is accused of abuse of office and misappropriation and money laundering under his government. So when we wonder that you would have availed him the opportunity to at least, even if it's in writing, and those these are some of the things that people understand. I'm going to read to you the statement coming from Governor El-Rufai. So the principle of fair hearing has not been adhered to in your proceedings.
Well, as a matter of fact, when you see the monies that were siphoned, the $1.4 million and the 30 billion naira that was withdrawn from the KDIRS account were withdrawn by the Accountant General and the Commissioner for Finance. That was why we invited them. As for El-Rufai, areas where he was found wanting, we equally mentioned it in our own conclusion. And when you go through our document, you will see it. For instance, there's so many loans that they collected. Some of them did not pass through the appropriate channel. They were not given approvals for. As a matter of fact, members of the House of Assembly are getting to even know that some of these things were done under their watch without their knowledge. So if you read his own, you will see where we equally faulted him on some of these items. He did not go through due process. But as for who took what under his government and under his watch, we mentioned their names, we invited them, and they are all there. Probably, when the relevant agencies invite them for further questioning, they will probably explain why they did what they did, or where these funds are, if at all it is with them. It's possible El-Rufai does not know where the monies are. It's possible he knows. So when they go there, those people have the training. They have the requisite training. They have the requisite knowledge to dig out from them what happened, where these funds are, what they were meant for. And then probably whoever instruct them to do that, or whoever they take the monies to, will also be invited. And from there, we will equally have more insight on what happened.
So I'd like to ask you some two straight questions. So you did not find anything directly linked to Governor El-Rufai in your document and your findings?
Well, as the head of the government, what do you expect? Who gives the instructions?
No, I'm asking. You said that monies are being transferred, money has been approved by some persons in government, but I'm asking specifically now, did your finding show any kind of possible linkage at all directly to the governor, either to his own purse, to his cronies, or through anyone linked to him? Did you find out any of such?
Through his cronies, yes, but not directly to him.
Not directly to him. So now, yes, my other quick question to you is this. Are there returning members in the House who served when El-Rufai, at least in the second term, who served in the House in the second term of El-Rufai and who are serving right now in the House at the moment? Are there any of them?
We have 12 of them.
12 of them. Are they saying that all of the monies being spent that is being unaccounted for were not with their knowledge?
As a matter of fact, on the day this probe committee was set up, the then Speaker of the House of Assembly said they forged his signature on some documents, and he is not aware of most of the loans they take. And when you come back to the books of the House, there is no day you will see there's a resolution on some of these debts. There's no resolution passed on the floor of the House. So once there's no resolution passed, what it means is that the House is not aware of that transaction. And so, that is the situation.
So as a lawmaker, I mean, we have seen and you read, you have gone through this process. Your summary in your head, it was that, or is that government was a government of corruption. Is that what you would sum it as?
Sure, when you come to Kaduna and see the numerous abandoned projects, you will have no choice but to ask questions.
So my question is that, would you say that the government of El-Rufai was a government of corruption? Is that what your report has found?
Yes. It's a government enmeshed in corruption. They mercilessly, recklessly looted Kaduna State dry. I can tell you that. Money they collected for project execution.
All right. Let me allow you to listen.
Without doing them.
Yeah, although you didn't give El-Rufai opportunity of fair hearing as prescribed by our laws, but then let me allow you to listen to what Governor El-Rufai's team and Governor El-Rufai's thought are about what he has done. That statement was titled, El-Rufai led a government of integrity and competent governance. And part of that statement reads, and I quote, "We have not been availed of a copy of the report to which we would respond robustly whenever we obtain it. We affirm the integrity of the El-Rufai government and dismiss the scandalous claims being aired as a report of the committee. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is immensely proud of his record of governance and the legacy he left in Kaduna State. It is sad to see such a shameful departure from any notion of decency and fairness by a state legislature. We dismiss with contempt the claims being peddled in connection with the report." Spokesperson of the House in Kaduna, how do you react to this?
Now, Sean, when you talk of integrity, you came on board from 1965 to when he was handed over power to. The total debt taken by Kaduna State government is in the region of $235 million US. In the 8th year of his reign, he single-handedly took $758 million US. By the time he came into office in 2015, the domestic debt incurred by the debt was completely wiped off. He came in, there was zero debt. And then they left behind for him monies that he mopped up through TSA worth about $34 billion to kick off his government with. Now, go back and check in his handing over notes how much he left behind as debt for us. How much he left behind as debt. And then the monies he collected to execute this project, if you come to Kaduna, over 60% of these projects are abandoned. And it will take Kaduna State 20 years to even complete what he left behind. So where is the integrity? These things ordinarily should raise questions from every common man on the street. That is why everybody is interested in this matter. There are several millions of dollars collected from African Development Bank, Islamic Bank, to execute specific projects that were never done. We are waiting for them. We are waiting his response. Let us see how they will shamelessly respond to these things. These are documents. These are documents available in public offers. That will be made available to the public.
Yeah. So quickly, because I'm out of time. I'd like to know, what is the next step now? I understand that you are inviting anti-graft agencies. Is it at the federal level or at the state level?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have submitted our report to the state government. We have equally forwarded some copies to the anti-graft agencies. We as legislators, we cannot prosecute them. Unfortunately, there are relevant bodies to take it up from there. So I believe, and then these relevant bodies have the requisite training to dig up these issues, to analyze these issues better, and then to come up with their final conclusions. But I can bet you, those who contributed in fleecing our state will have no option than to be made to pay for them.
All right.
Because governance in Kaduna State today has become very difficult because we are paying back these debts. Unfortunately, he structured the debt to such a way that he never paid a kobo during his time. It was when he left, they started this deduction. And it is making governance very difficult.
All right, Honorable Mara, just before we go, let me ask you, I've imagined that you're a member of the APC in Kaduna State, isn't it?
No, I'm a member of the PDP.
Oh, interesting. Do you imagine? Okay, so do you imagine, for those who say this is purely political, you see, do you think there is a sense of, it's a kind of political undertone to all of this that is happening?
Chow, it is a normal thing in Nigeria today where somebody commits a fault and is asked to answer for it. They will begin to color it with politics. If it is political, then we will run through the streets of Kaduna and show you all the abandoned projects left. In Kafanchan today, the road project they have been doing for more than 5 years. Till today, when it rains, you will see people falling off. Their projects are there. It is not political. All we're asking is accountability. Come and tell us the money you collected, what you did with them. Now, let me give you a shocker, Sean. The consultants the government hired during his tenure to help with the projects executed, they valued projects about 60 billion naira recommended for payment, but they ended up paying these contractors over 180 billion naira. The consultant valued 60-something billion, and you are paying contractors over 180 billion naira. Why? So if you go through our report, you will see contractors, we wrote down their names and monies they are supposed to refund back to the government as either overpayment or payment for jobs that were never executed. These things the documents are there. It is quite pathetic.
Yeah.
I'm smiling now, but of course, nobody is smiling in the state.
Honorable Henry Mara, who is the spokesperson of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. And we do hope that
thank you, Sharon.
Maybe we would get former Governor El-Rufai to speak to some of these issues. These are weighty, heavy allegations against his government, against his person, and those who work under that administration over the last 8 years or so to come and explain how they spent all of this money. Thank you so much, Henry Mara, for your time tonight.
Thank you so much for your time,
everyone. And when we come back, a seasoned lawmaker will be joining us to speak on the issues relating to how the National Assembly is handling the issue of the minimum wage, the issues relating to the engagement between federal government and the labor, and the 1 week ultimatum given by the organized labor for government to resolve the figure of the national minimum wage. We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again.